Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into the $10,000 paradigm shift. Now, most folks think financial milestones are just, arbitrary numbers made up to make us feel inadequate. But actually, as we're going to see today, there is a very real, highly tangible shift that happens at this exact amount.
Picture this, it's 3 a.m., you're lying awake, staring at the ceiling, and your brain is just spinning through every possible financial disaster. What if the car breaks down? What if I lose my job tomorrow? Well, what if I told you there's a specific, magical dollar amount that practically turns that anxiety off completely? So, to understand the cure, we've got to look at the disease, decision fatigue. This is the mental exhaustion of making thousands of daily micro-calculations. When you have zero savings, you're literally calculating if you can afford the generic pasta or if a simple $25 dinner invite from friends means you have to craft some creative excuse to protect your budget. It just burns so much mental energy.
And the emotional weight of flipping this script is huge. One person who recently hit this milestone shared something that really stuck with me. They said, "I almost cried at the grocery store because I realized I could focus on what I actually wanted to eat instead of what I could afford to eat." When you build that safety net, 90% of those exhausting micro-decisions just vanish. Imagine the massive amount of headspace you get back.
All right, Section 1, the brain on $10,000, the neuroscience of savings. Because, this transformation isn't just about spreadsheets. It is quite literally about your biology.
Look under the hood, and neuroscientists found something wild. Seeing a 5-figure balance in your bank account actively tanks your cortisol levels. That's your body's primary stress hormone. Hitting this number literally alters your physical and chemical response to the world. You are, biologically, just less stressed. Let's put this into the real world. The dreaded check engine light. If you're living paycheck to paycheck, that light is pure panic. It feels like a countdown to disaster. But with 10 grand saved, that exact same check engine light is just a minor inconvenience. It's annoying, for sure, but the panic is completely gone.
And this bleeds into your entire mental state. With zero savings, every single choice feels dangerous. Thinking about planning a vacation or changing careers feels like stepping off a cliff. One wrong move and you're ruined. But with 10 grand, those same decisions just feel manageable. Money stops feeling scarce and actually starts multiplying your options.
Which brings us to Section 2, buying options, not things. This is the emergency fund effect, and it completely reframes how we view this pile of cash. Financial experts call this the emergency fund effect. And the crazy part is, people who build up 10 grand don't typically spend it on emergencies. They don't have to. The true value is simply knowing it's there. That peace of mind unlocks your mental energy to actually go out and improve your life. Because when you're not operating out of desperation, you unlock some incredible opportunities. You carry yourself differently. You walk into a job interview and negotiate a better salary because, hey, you know you can afford to walk away from a bad deal. You might confidently drop 2 grand on a career certification that instantly boosts your income. Operating without that deep-seated desperation creates this massive positive feedback loop. Think about a $50 networking event. If you have no savings, you skip it. $50 is way too precious, way too risky to lose. But with a safety net, individual dollars aren't quite as terrifying to part with. You spend the $50, you go, and boom, you might meet someone offering a job with a $5,000 raise. The safety net lets you invest in opportunities that broke people literally cannot afford to take.
So how do we get there? Section 3, the identity of a saver, becoming a different person. Because treating saving like a temporary crash diet, that always backfires.
Honestly, the hardest part isn't the math. It's developing the identity of someone who saves money. Reaching this milestone means changing how you fundamentally view yourself. And once you actually see yourself as a saver, you automatically start spotting creative ways to cut expenses that you were totally blind to before.
Let's break down how this progression actually feels. Step 1, that first 1,000, it is brutal. It takes constant, exhausting willpower. But the second 1,000 is noticeably easier because your habits are forming. By the time you're aiming for your 5th or 6th 1,000, that massive initial effort just fades away. The process actually starts to feel automatic. And this right here is the ultimate wealth-building secret. We all know that person making 6 figures, driving a leased luxury car, buying $20 salads, but they have absolutely zero in the bank. Compare them to someone making a moderate income, but with high savings. The person with 10 grand saved is actually way closer to true financial independence because they've mastered the mindset of keeping money and delaying gratification.
All right, let's wrap this up with Section 4, the path to 10 grand. Practical application. Let's look at what this number actually covers and how you can make it a reality.
First, let's look at exactly what this magic number neutralizes. Mathematically, 10 grand makes you practically bulletproof against the vast majority of disasters that keep people stuck. It covers almost any car repair short of a totally new engine. It easily handles an ER visit, and crucially, it buys you 3 to 6 months of breathing room to find a new job if you're laid off.
But how do you actually get there? Well, look at this number, $3,000. That is the average amount Americans drop every single year on coffee, dining out, and just random convenience purchases.
Here's where the math is super empowering. If you redirect just 1/3 of that exact convenience spending into savings, you will hit 10 grand in less than 3 years. You don't need some huge windfall. Actually, scratch that. You just need consistency. Starting with $25 or $50 a month is way more important than the size of your initial contribution.
So let's sum up the ultimate ROI here, because the cascading benefits go so far beyond your bank balance. Having this safety net literally reduces insomnia, which improves your physical health, it eliminates a massive source of family conflict, it gives you genuine confidence, and it gives you the mental breathing room to actually sit down and optimize your bills to build even more wealth.
So I want to leave you with this one provocative question. Who will you become when you no longer have to make 50 survival-based calculations every single day? Because at the end of the day, the identity you build while saving that first 10,000 is infinitely more valuable than the money itself. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and I really hope this gives you the clarity to start building your own safety net today.